In the beginning, I was struggling even with the tools and let alone doing photo manipulation.
So when I read this book, I'm back.
It's neon editing, and I did some other photo manipulation. I already made calendar for April. Let's see how it goes.
What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is your host Utkarsh, and today I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite book that has been changing my life on a massive scale. It's Atomic Habits. I'm pretty sure you all have heard of it by now. It's essentially about how to make good habits and break bad ones, and we all have some habits that are addressed good and bad, depends on the outcome they have produced. Over a course of time, I also have accumulated some of the good habits and bad habits. They are part of me, they are my identity now. Some of those bad habits made my life so miserable and brought so much chaos in my life that I have ever comprehended before reading this book. And it was like this book pointed out to me that these habits are not serving you well. One of the worst habits that I have in me on atomic level is not having a right sleeping schedule. So when I read this book, my mind went straight to that very habit, and I'm sure you all have some bad habits too. For some people it can be an urge to smoke every now and then. For some people it can be scrolling through too much social media or binge watching TikTok videos or reels on Instagram. For all those people, this is the best book that will describe your well laid out plan to form good habits and break bad ones. What is a habit anyway? You need to ask yourself before you embark on a journey of healing and start trying to attain some new good habits and break bad ones. A habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. You do it on autopilot mode. This book articulates a number of different approaches that has been used over time to form good habits and break bad ones. I even use some of those methods in my own daily life to do some analysis and tackle my own bad habits. Let me mention some of those methods that literally spoke to my core so that you could use them to tackle your own everyday problems.
The first one is improve 1% every day, and the compound result will be astounding. I was doing this for the past 11 months when I started learning Photoshop just for fun because I was always fascinated by this massive software. In the beginning, I was struggling even with the tools and let alone doing photo manipulation and removing backgrounds. But over time, I started removing background more and more professionally, and little by little, I also started outlining the pictures, and now I'm blending pictures on Photoshop just by improving 1% in every aspect of this skill. In just 6 months, I started doing photo manipulation and having so much fun. My favorite is neon editing, and I did some other photo manipulation too. You can see how over time I improved on a massive scale. 1% improvement will turn into 37% improvement by the end of the year. The difference a tiny improvement can make is astounding. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you will decline nearly down to zero. What just started as a minor setback accumulated into something much worse over time.
Another perspective that spoke to me on an atomic level is forget about the goals, focus on the system. So what is a goal anyway?
Goal is the outcome of your efforts that you hope to achieve within a deadline. Now what is a system? It's a series of habits or steps that a person has to take to get to that goal.
System are about processes that leads to those results. Like if your goal is to become a writer, then your system would be this: the writing progress that you follow each day, how you come up with new ideas to write about, the research you do, things like this. Or if your goal is to lose weight, then your system would be how much cardio you do, how many times you go gym in a week, keeping a daily food log. But author James Clear has a very different perspective. He said forget about the goals, focus on the system instead. What he actually means is that goals are necessary, they are not useless. Obviously, goal is your compass. Without goal, you won't have a sense of direction. Goal is good for filtering the opportunities that you should pursue. But the idea is if you focus most of your energy to keep the system running, forget about the goal. Goals and system are complementary. Without goals, you won't have a system. But instead, exclusively focusing on your goals, let's make system the default or attention and be happy as long as the system is running. The goal in any sports to finish with the best score, but it would be ridiculous to spend the whole game staring at the scoreboard, right? It's really a bad strategy to obsess over goals all the time and overlook your system. Every Olympian wants to win a medal. Every athletes have the same goal. But not everyone achieve their goal, do they? What differentiates winners from losers is the system. Hence, it leads to one of my favorite quote in the book.
You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
The problem with goals first mentality is that you keep putting happiness off until the next milestone. People often set a goal and they think once they achieve that goal, they will be happy. So until they don't achieve that goal, they keep restricting themselves from being happy. This is totally misguided. System first mentality provides the antidote. When you fall in love with the process rather than the end result, you don't have to wait for happiness. You can be satisfied anytime your system is running. Goal is about winning the game, while system is about keep playing the game.
This leads to another important chapter of the book, how habits shape your identity.
Let's take an example of that guy in your group or work environment who's always taking care of his body, working out 5 times a week, eating healthy. He probably be addressed as fitness freak. Now his habits has become his identity. It often feels difficult to keep good habits for more than few days, even with sincere efforts. Habits like running in the morning, doing meditation, journaling make sense for few days. After that, it seems like a hassle. Imagine you're turning over a new leaf and decided to quit smoking. One day a friend asked, "Do you wanna smoke?" You replied, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." At first it seems like a reasonable response, but the story you are telling yourself is wrong. You still believe you are a smoker who's trying to be something else. Your old identity can still sabotage your new plan for change. As I'm a non-smoker, it would be so easy for me to deny a cigarette because I don't smoke. So why not start from the identity? Keep telling yourself that you don't smoke. Adopt my belief. I know it's easier said than done, but this is a game-changing moment. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation when a habit becomes a part of your identity. True behavior change is the identity change.
The goal is not to read a book, the goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon, the goal is to become a runner.
Like all aspects of habits formation, identity change is also a double-edged sword. It can be a boon or curse, depends what kind of story you have been telling yourself over the years. Many people saying these following things without being aware that it can become a part of their identity if they said it enough.
I'm not a morning person, I'm bad at remembering people names, I'm always late, I'm horrible at math. When you have repeated a story to yourself for 1,000 times, it's easy to accept them as a fact. So be very mindful what kind of story you have been telling yourself, because it can become a part of your identity.
Now the real question arises, how to make good habits stick. The author James Clear described the process of building new habits into 4 simple steps. Cue, craving, response, reward. James created a framework around these 4 steps and referred it to as the 4 laws of behavior change. First law is make it obvious. Second law is make it attractive. Third law is make it easy. Fourth law is make it satisfying. Whenever you want to change your behavior, you can ask yourself, how can I make it obvious? How can I make it attractive? How can I make it easy? How can I make it satisfying? This leads to another important subject of the book, implementation intention.
Implementation intention is a strategy to pair a habit with a specific time and location. The simple way to apply this strategy to your habits is to fill out this sentence. I will behavior at time in location. I will work out at 6 a.m. in my home, or I will meditate at 5 a.m. in my living room.
Implementation intention is the best technique to make our cues obvious. Research have shown if you decide the time and location for your new habit, chances are you're more likely to follow through. Too many people try to change their habit without having these details figured out. So we tell ourselves that I'm going to eat healthier, I'm going to work out more, I'm going to write more, but we never tell ourselves when and where we're going to do it. And eventually we never do it. So deciding the time and location for your new habit will increase the chances of your doing it. Habit stacking is another best way to make your cues obvious. To understand habit stacking, first you have to understand detour effect.
Detour effect states that obtaining a new possession often creates a spiral of consumption that leads to additional purchases.
You can see it happen everywhere. First you buy a suit, then you buy formal shoes that get along with it, then you buy perfect tie to match that suit, and so on. Many human behavior follow the same cycle. Like going to a washroom leads to washing your hands, then drying your hands, which reminds you to do laundry and add detergent, so on. When building a new habit, you could use this to your advantage. Best way to build a new habit is to identify a current habit that you already do and then stack your new habit on the top of it. This is called habit stacking.
Habit stacking formula. After current habit, I will new habit. After I pour my cup of coffee each morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. After I sit down to dinner, I will say one thing I'm grateful for that happened today.
Now moving on to our second law of behavior change, make it attractive. One of the best way to make any habit attractive is temptation bundling. Let me explain.
Temptation bundling is the idea of combining 2 activities. One you should be doing but procrastinate on, and one you enjoy doing but isn't the most productive use of your time.
You would be more inclined to do a certain behavior if you get to do one of your favorite things at the same time. Like listening to music while working out or running. We often use music as a catalyst to do a lot of activities that we need to do. Like you could check your social media after being productive for 1 hour or after studying for 1 hour. Moving on to a third law of behavior change, make it easy. It takes a lot of motivation to stick to a habit, but humans are tends to be lazy and often end up repeating the behavior that is more convenient. That's why we mostly end up complaining about the world rather than doing it. Habits like scrolling feeds on social media apps and binge watching some series on Netflix doesn't really require much effort. That's why they steal most of our time. In a sense, every habit is an obstacle to get what you really want. You don't want the habit itself. What you really want is an outcome that habit delivers. We need to reduce the friction that will take us to the end result. The most effective way to make any habits easy is by designing your environment in such a way that habit comes as naturally as possible. Like we all know, drinking lots of water on a daily basis is good. So if we design an environment in such a way that water is conveniently available everywhere you spend most of your time, then we would make it as automatic as habit. This leads to fourth law of behavior change: make it satisfying. The cardinal rule of behavior change. We are more likely to repeat a behavior if the experience is satisfying. What is rewarded is repeated, what is punished is avoided. That's why most of the people become habitual to having a smoke every now and then, because the consequences of bad habits are delayed, but the rewards are immediate. Smoking might kill you in 10 years, but it eases stress and nicotine cravings now. One of the best things that I got out of this book is a habit tracker, which makes good habits a little bit satisfying. As good habit doesn't really provide any immediate gratification, habit tracker provides a little bit of visual gratification simultaneously. A habit tracker is a simple way to measure whether you did a habit. For example, if you work out on Monday, you will cross off that day on calendar. Believe me, it has done wonders for me.
I actually made a habit tracker for myself on Canva. I have been doing this for 2 months now. First I tried habit scorecard, but nothing beats a habit tracker. I added a section of total number of days I woke up before the sun. I also wanted to track all my habits that I have been trying to attain. That's why I'm tracking the frequency of my workout days and number of times I meditate, even for 5 minutes. In the middle of the corner of this calendar, I also created a section for birthdays and special events, because I often forget to wish people on their special day and look like a prick. And finally, there's a section for gratitude. I started writing things I'm grateful for at the end of every month, and it made me very aware of all the positive things I have in my life right now. I have assigned symbols for each habit. Cross for the days I woke up early around 6 a.m. and right tick is for the number of days I did workout, and circle for meditation. In the month of Feb, my performance was not that good. I only woke up early half of the month, but this month sleeping early and waking up early become more and more easy than before. The urge to keep streak alive and not to break the chain is immense. I already made calendar for April. Let's see how it goes. I highly recommend making a tracker for yourself on Canva, because habit tracker kept me honest.
We often have a distorted view of our own behavior. We think we act better than we do. When the evidence is right there, you're less likely to lie to yourself. I'm going to track all my habits for a year and see how many repetitions it will take for all these good habits to become automatic. Habit tracker will work great when you're having a bad day, when you're feeling down. It's really easy to forget all the progress you have made. Habit tracking provides a visual proof of your hard work. At some point, tracking gonna get boring. At that point, you need to remind yourself. Amateur stops when it gets boring, but professional don't. It is better to track one habit at a time than sporadically track 10. I've tried it, it doesn't work. The question shouldn't be how long does it take to build a new habit, but what people really should be asking is how many repetitions are required to make a habit automatic. So the key points are: 1% improvement will count a lot in a long run. Small changes often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold. Focus on the system rather than the goals. Focus on the identity rather than the outcome. Success is not a goal to reach or a finish line to cross. It's a system to improve, an endless process to refine. The 4 laws of behavior change can be used to build better habits and break bad ones. It's really remarkable what you can build if you don't stop. Small habits don't add up, they compound. That's the power of atomic habits. Tiny changes, remarkable results.